Wawili this month ni tu. Nione kwanza mute nategesha tu. Sio nitafanyia hapo hiki kitu. Najua kitakuwa kikali. Wawili tu na ule jamaa ule David Alba. Inawachaingia. Ndio kukichapia wapi hiki sasa?
a country in Central Africa. This country is also known as DRC, DR Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, or simply Congo. It is the second largest country in Africa. It has one of the largest area of equatorial forests in the world. The Congo has hundreds of ethnic groups. We are 450 tribes in this country. And our population is for now 93.38 million. We are a French-speaking country, but we also have 4 national languages: Kikongo, Lingala, Chiluba, Swahili, which are our national languages. The Democratic Republic of Congo is the third most populous country in Africa behind Nigeria, Ethiopia. I want also to say that this great country is 4 times France, 80 times Belgium, 64 times Rwanda and Burundi combined together. Wow. So, as you can see on the screen, this is the average of our country. We are the 11th largest in the world. We have the big river. The Congo River is only having us access to the Atlantic Ocean. Due to its large area, its location in the central of Africa, its numerous natural resources, and its large population, the Democratic Republic of Congo is one of the giants of Africa. It is crossed by the equator and includes 3 climates. We have the equatorial climate, the tropical climate, and the mountain climate. This country shares its border with 9 countries in Africa. We have Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Zambia, South Sudan, Congo, Brazzaville. Let me remind you that we have another country which is called Congo, but it is Congo, Brazzaville. For us, we are Democratic Republic of Congo, even if we don't have democracy. So this country, for the short story, it becomes the private property of the King of Belgium in 1885. And during his 23 years, we undergoes the first genocide under Leopold the King from Belgium. More than 1 million people were died because if they couldn't be able to work to produce rubber, they were cutting the hands, legs, or other parts of the body. After, in 1960, we had our independence from the Belgium. After that, we had so many secession movement and war that conducted to overthrow the President Kasavubu, the assassination of Prime Minister Lumumba, and then Mobutu took power in 1965. After Mobutu, we had the war, the Second Great War in Congo, which started in 1998 with Mzee Laurent Désiré Kabila. He was killed some years ago. And then we had his son, who ruled the country for 18 years. Now we are under the ruling of the President Tshisekedi. The economy is mainly, the economy of this country is mainly based on the agriculture and the mining. If you can read about hydrography of this country, we have a very important resources of water in Central Africa. And we can provide water, we can provide electricity to all Africa, even to Europe, if this could take place, if you could have good government. So we have the Congo River, which is long of 4,700 kilometers. And its flow is about 60 million meter cube per second. Apart from this one, we have several rivers, great rivers, big rivers, like Ubangi, Kasai, Malebo, Congo, and Lualaba. Apart from this, we have about 10 lakes in Congo. We have the Lake Moero, Lake Changwele, Upemba, Lake Tumba, Lake Maindombe. We have Lake Tanganyika, Lake Kivu. I am speaking now at the shores of the Lake Kivu. I'm just near the Lake Kivu now. And we have also Lake Edouard and Lake Albert, not David Albert. We have Lake Albert. The environment of Congo, let us say that the Democratic Republic of Congo had an average of 7.56 ranking of about 172 countries. The fighting and exploitation of the Second War had a heavy impact on the nature and tropical forest that once made up most of the country landscape. Conservation area cover only 11% of the country. And according to the NGO, which are working in the environment, in 2050, we will be losing 40% of our forests. And deforestation is really intense in Democratic Republic of Congo. Even if the country gets millions of euros of money to protect the environment, unfortunately, that went into corruption. The deforestation is very high, and this is a danger for the world, because you know Congo has the second great forest of the world. And if we start to destroy all this, if we don't have any action to stop deforestation, we will be losing all the forest, we will be losing everything, and it's really dangerous for the world. Let me say that about the roots of the war since 1996. So to be short and clear, we are a rich country among 9 poor countries. And this is our danger, and this is our main problem. So our neighbors, most of them doesn't have land, more land, most of them are poor. And we have a rich country with poorest people in the middle of 9 countries. So everyone wants to get something from Congo. Mm-hmm. Every country, every neighbor wants to come in Congo and get minerals and get resources to try to survive. This is a great issue of this country. This is the war we are undergoing in Congo now, apart from being tribe war, we also have an economic war, which is going on in Congo. And for now, in Congo, we have about 142 army groups, rebels. And all these rebels, army groups, are living in the forests, are living in the national parks, are living in the protected areas where they are making exploitation of the environment to survive. So when they are in the forest, apart from that, they are getting guns and weapons in exchange of minerals, in exchange of resources. And this has a very sad impact on the environment, on the climate, on our forests, which has to be protected. And from there, they are making charcoals, they are cutting trees, they are also eating animals, destroying animals and other species, rare species, which are in the forest, which are in the protected areas. So the issue is that the government is trying to fight against these these army groups, but you can wonder with me, Congo doesn't have any permission to buy guns, to buy weapons, while the rebels has new weapons, sophisticated weapons, and the United Nations Secretary last month said that the rebels have sophisticated and big weapons than the United Nations. And the United Nations don't want Congo to buy weapons or guns or other military material to fight against these rebels and army groups. Let me remind that we had been under the very biggest mission of United Nations in the world for 22 years. They have about 20,000 UN peacekeepers in Congo. But for 20 years, they had never been able even to stop one armed group. And people are now demonstrating against the UN. The biggest mission in the world is in Congo now. 20,000 soldiers, UN peacekeepers, but they are not even able to stop the killing of civilians because of some people who are very. I didn't want to share pictures and videos. It is very heartbreaking. I'm sorry I couldn't share video and picture for what the rebels are doing, but I will just share some after this. So we have in Ituri, for example, 11 army groups. We have in North Kivu, 45 army groups. In South Kivu, where I am now, we have 65 army groups. And as you can read on the screen share, more than 8 million people died in this country since 1996. And we have now in all the country 5.5 million of displaced people, internal displaced people, internal refugees who are suffering because of the atrocities of the rebels and the army groups. So, I have written many things that I won't be able to explain in 20 minutes, but I will share the document with everyone so that everyone can have the time to read. The table you have down here is the list of the minerals that are available in Congo. You can wonder if you can just see. And people always say that DRC is a geological scandal with important resources and poorest people. So you will have the list about the protection of the environment. Now we also have 9 national parks. We have Virunga, Garamba, the list is down there. That has also important resources. Let me remind, even if it is written down or up, that the ongoing war now in North Kivu is also based on the management of the Virunga National Park. Emmanuel Demerod, who is the actual manager, has escaped death from shootings 4 times. Why? It had been discovered that in the Virunga National Park, there are great reserves of fuel, of petrol, and multinational Grit company and people are speaking about Total. They want to get fuels, they want to get petrol in the national park. But people has to protect this national park because it is really a protected area. And now, in the same national park of Virunga, we have also these army groups that are founded by our neighbors to get resources from the park. So, as I was saying before, those rebels do exploit the forest by cutting wood, transforming charcoal, coal, exploiting subsoil resources, threatening people. And apart from that, they are having so many prisoners of war who are forced for artisanal exploitation in raw materials. So many women are subjected to sexual slavery by these rebels. Remember, the UN, in one of its reports, said that Congo is a capital of the rape. It is a shame for us. We didn't want to be called like this, but it happened because the war is founded by these people who are getting materials in the Congo. And we can't count the thousands of children who are slavery in the mining areas, producing the mineral of blood and making this communication possible. Remember, always David Albert used to say this. As we speak now, the war is at 15 kilometers from the city of Goma and Masisi. And most of time, the natural environment is directly attacked and degraded by the war. So, as I was mentioning in this presentation, I didn't want to share pictures and videos of what is happening in the forest by the rebels, the atrocities they are making. But let us remind that the Congo, and especially this eastern part of the country, doesn't only have as a harm the rebels. We are also fearing two things here. We have the volcano Nyiragongo, which is active, and when it goes down, the lava used to destroy everything. We also have the gas in the Lake Kivu near me here. And this is a great danger, because if any time the volcano can be in eruption, and the lava volcano can reach the lake, then the gas in the lake will go out and kill millions of people who are living in Gisenyi, in Goma, and in Bukavu, and along the lake. This is a great fear we also have. This gas can produce electricity and reduce the use of wood, because 80% of people here are cooking through the wood. So if we get the exploitation of the gas in the lake, this will really protect the environment. This will really help people to get access to electricity. But what is sad is that we will be dying from this gas while it could regenerate and get more money for the country and for the other people. So climate change and war represent a serious threat to the sustainable development, to poverty reduction efforts of the goals of the millennium, especially in DRC and particularly in east of the country. To end this presentation, we want to give some suggestions. What is important now is to ask the foreign army groups, including FDLR, who are from Rwanda, ADF NALU, who are from Uganda, and others from Burundi, to go back home and start dialogue with their countries of origin. We also want the United Nations and other countries, and even Congo, to disarm the army groups in Eastern Congo. Also, to help these young people who are leaving the army group. We have to control the reforestation of Lake Kivu, along the Lake Kivu and the shorelines of various Kivu parks. This gas from the Lake Kivu, it is an emergency to degassing the Lake Kivu and provide power to people. We also need to make a recycling of plastic waste production and renewable energy and manufacturing of plastic powders. Thank you so much. I'm beyond of the 20 minutes. I'm sorry because I have been talking a lot. Your questions, remarks, and welcome. Thank you so much for taking your time to hear this small presentation about the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Well, thank you, Herman. It was a wonderful presentation. We almost could break the group in two, but I don't see Faustin being here, and we would not want to go into dialogue without at least one of you in each of the smaller groups. So I think we'll stay together. Maybe you could take your presentation down so we can see everyone.
Yes, I can take it down. So as I was saying, about the pictures. Can you see this picture?
Right now, we're just seeing your presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me try to find it.
Linda, yeah, we can't see everybody
There
here.
we go. There we go.
So we've got 19 members here. There's a
You can imagine this guy was beaten yesterday because he only refused to demonstrate on behalf of the rebels at Bunagana.
Mm.
And these are the people who died before yesterday from floods in Kinshasa.
Wow.
When it rains, you just find this along the lake.
Oh my God, the plastic. Wow.
And this is what is destroying the environment in this area. You can imagine all this plastic, but it is possible to recycle this and make some parts that we can use while building here and so on. So let me. And let me tell you that. Can you use this picture? Can you see this picture?
We can see it. I'm not sure what we're seeing.
1 week ago, this is a school, just 5 kilometers from where I am now. The school had been digging a toilet, and we find all these hidden weapons at the surface of the school, probably from 2012, when the rebels attacked again this area. So thank you so much. We have so many pictures, but we don't need to share even all the videos.
Herman, this has been amazing. Wish we had a time to see more of your photos. This is really heartbreaking to those of us who didn't know what was going on in Congo.
Thank you so much.
Herman, in order to move on, if you could stop your screen share, that would be helpful. We could see each other and and so comment to Linda. I don't know whether you responded to my chat.
Yeah,
But
we're 18 people. We could go into two groups, but Faustin isn't here. So I'm thinking we should stay together at least till we get any questions answered by
yeah, we've got 18 people, and the other group leader could be David Albert, who knows this story quite well. And so we could give that a try. It would give people a bit more time to speak. Herman, if you could take your screen share down, thank you very much.
Why don't we just see if there's any first questions, and then we can go into a breakout.
David Blake Willis.
Herman, I'm trying to see where you are. Herman, can we see you? It would be great if we could see
share.
you.
Share, David.
But the screen, I don't see. Yeah. Herman, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, this is quite a story. You have told us the story about Congo. Could you kindly tell us just a bit about your story? I think your story is an important one for us to hear too. You're on mute.
Thank you so much. I am Herman. I'm married, 6 children, 1 daughter, and I lost my father, my mother during the war, even my elder sister, my first wife. So I have lost so many members of family in this injustice war, which is imposed to this country. Apart from that, I had been a teacher for 70 years, a principal. After that, I had been working as an administrative helper for the United Nations, but I left for my own reasons. For now, I am working with people who are buying coffee. We have the nice coffee of the world also. We don't only have war, we also have positive points. We have good coffee from Minova. And apart from that, I had been working with Friendly Water to help people from this region with clean water. And we were able to stop cholera in so many villages. For now, with the help of so many people like you, I'm running an orphanage with 52 children who are orphans. Most of them orphan from the war. Their fathers died, mother was raped and died, father was killed, mother was killed. This is in short about my story. I'm living at Minova. Minova is at the shores of the Lake Kivu. But my family is, for now, in Goma. Thank you so much. We are grateful. Asante sana.
Any other questions for Herman? Specifically, and I think we may try to break the group up.
Herman, I have a question. It's in regard to the East African Peace Mission that is currently undertaken in in your region, that is in Kivu region, and Kenya recently contributed a combat force. How is the reception on the ground about the Kenyan peacekeeping mission, as well the effort that has been done by our former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, as part of the East African peace negotiator? How is the reception happening? Because I did not see the mainstream rebel group, the Rwandese funded, financed, armed, supported group, the M23 participating. How soon are we going to see them coming to the negotiating table?
You're on mute, Herman. We can't hear you.
Thank you so much, my brother. It was our great joy to receive the Kenyan troops. 990 soldiers are in Goma now, and I meet some of them. Unfortunately, they said they won't fight against M23, for example, which is killing people. And the government said M23 is a terrorist movement. You know, for us in Congo, we don't even believe in M23. It is 100% Rwanda. And Uhuru Kenyatta, Paul Kagame, the Burundian president, met yesterday in USA. And Congo was not there. You can understand something from all this. So we thought the Kenyan who are just in Congo, Burundian, South Sudan are also coming, South Sudanese are also coming, Ugandan are present here, but the army groups are still there. The only thing that our brothers from Kenya told us is that M23 won't take the Goma town. They won't be coming in Goma. If they can come, they will be fighting about them. But Uhuru Kenyatta, the logic is to have everyone on the same table, the government, M23, and other rebels. Hopeful the negotiations will be helpful. Thank you so much, brother. Na asante sana kututumia majeshi.
You are most welcome, and we will support you in all way possible, including the veteran. And a last question, please. What is the combat capacity of the M23 forces?
I want to tell you what the UN Secretary General said. He says the M23 has more guns, more sophisticated weapons than even UN.
Wow, thank you.
And
Thank you so
can
much.
you imagine that? Can you imagine that the Secretary General of UN saying that a rebel group is stronger than UN, is stronger than 20,000 soldiers of UN who are present in Congo now?
Wow.
So this war is a big business.
Yes, so sorry, and we support you.
Did I actually hear you say, Herman, that at the UN, I know that there's a summit happening in the United States right now with Biden. And did I hear you say that the Democratic Republic of Congo is not present?
The Democratic Republic of Congo is present in USA.
Okay.
And our president met John Biden before yesterday. But the country, our nearby countries, our neighbors,
Okay.
who are sending rebels, who are supporting rebels, they are trying to be on the same table to see how they can resolve this question, because it is their own question. If they want, if Kagame can decide today, if Kenya, Burundi can decide to end the war in Congo, they will end it.
Wow.
Well, this is really a most moving presentation, Herman. Thank you so much. So folks, we've got 16 people. David Albert has got his hand up.
So I wanted to add to that the president of Congo left early, ostensibly because of the floods in Kinshasa. But in doing so, he made very, very pointed remarks that the US and the West was responsible for the floods in Kinshasa because of climate change. It was very, very open and direct about the comments you don't usually hear from a world leader. It was pretty shocking. People should know that, so Rwanda, the current shape of Rwanda was a product of Bill Clinton. That's a long history. And the US has armed Rwanda to the teeth for so very, very long. And up until 2014, Rwanda didn't produce any coltan, and yet they were the largest exporter of coltan in the world. All stolen from the child slaves and others in the North and South Kivu provinces. And the recipients are Microsoft, Intel, HP, Dell, Samsung, Apple, et cetera, et cetera. Those companies don't exist without the Congo. That's just something to remember, that without the resources of the Congo, those companies can't exist. And of course, I hold these stocks in my pension. My government puts my pension fund into those stocks, essentially making me an owner of child slaves.
So one question I have, Dave, about that is how active are the American companies in the armed fighting? Do they somehow give money to the rebels?
So it's indirect. It's indirect. The US has a huge military training mission in Uganda. It previously had a huge training mission in Rwanda. You know, technical advisors, think Vietnam. And of course, denial, plausibility. So the mining, which used to be done by US companies directly, is now done by Glencore Mining, which is Swiss or Chinese companies. So again, plausible deniability. You ship your stuff to China where it is then reprocessed and given to Microsoft. So Microsoft can claim, oh, we don't know where this stuff comes from.
Oh.
But it doesn't come from anywhere else. There's not a single gun produced in the Congo. Again, you asked for US involvement. The US arms to Congo are actually produced in Romania for the most part. They come from Romania on contract from the United States. But again, plausible deniability. Oh, we don't produce any guns. Romania produces the guns that are going there, et cetera, et cetera. It's an old story refurbished for Congo.
Thank you. Other questions or?
Here's an opportunity. This is to take the next half an hour to break out and to give everyone a chance to be heard and hear. We've got 16 members ready to break out into 2 groups, take a half an hour to have more in-depth sharing. So everyone gets a chance to have some airtime. Then we can come back in a full group debrief and maybe have more group thinking and then our final conclusions, reflections at 9 o'clock, I guess. 9 o'clock. Anyway, Linda, thoughts? These are ready to go.
Yeah, I think so. We'll keep David in one room and Herman in the other, and you and I should go with them. And then we'll just try to divide the group up evenly between us. Yeah,
I've got you in Herman's room. I'll be in David's room, and let's see. And you're able to move rooms if you want. You can. I think there's a function for you to move rooms. So I'm going to put you in rooms. The request is that we start off with about a minute of checking in. Who you are, where you're from, and what is your initial reaction and response to what you've heard from Herman's presentation? What is landed in you that is most important and most poignant, if you will? And then after that first round of introductions, continue on in full dialogue. David?
Yeah, thanks so much. I think Getri wanted to say something. She'd put something in the chat, but I think she wants to have a comment too.
He's no longer with us. Oh no, there's Getri. I Getri. Go ahead, Getri.
First to go.
Greetings, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm having some urgent issues that I have to deal with in the community. But I just wanted to tell Herman to know that I'm thinking about Congo people, and I can relate to the pain. Having been in Kakuma last weekend and seeing how the refugees were coming in was actually very painful. And sometimes I normally say, as a brother, just know we are here for you. I'm good at making necessary noise. If that can help, please just write me an email and let's see how we can discuss this. But we're thinking about it and we hope this thing will end. And thank you everybody for today. I hope to see you again.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Katrine. It's good to see you, good to hear from you, and we want to keep you in the midst of this
Thank you.
group.
Thank you.
All right, folks, let's give this a try. We can move from other rooms, I think, as this happens. I'm going to put you in the rooms again, and we will go from there. Let's see, one change. Okay, here we go, and we'll come out in 30 minutes.
Glad to see you further on.
I guess the other group hasn't joined us yet. Here we all are.
An appreciation, Adam, for your comment about your comments about language, and also to Herman. There is a hegemony of 3 minutes to closing. Okay, we can continue our discussion here. There is a hegemony of English with a capital E, and we need to move away from that to Englishes with a small e. You know, the English that you all speak in Pakistan, it's like what we speak here. There may be some different vocabulary and all, but to recognize the hegemony. I mean, again, that's the colonization, that we think this is the universal language. Anybody talking about something universal, you should be suspicious about that. And this applies to language too. So deep appreciation for all of the people for whom English is not the first language. And especially those of us in the United States, we don't recognize this. We're such a monolingual society. Well, we are bilingual in some places, Spanish is here and there, but appreciation for the Englishes with small e.
Yeah, it's not easy to learn another language, so we're lazy. I tried learning French, German, and Spanish and came back to English because, you know, it's just easy. So, William, hello. Have you been in the other group? Are they coming back in? Oh, he left.
Oh, he left.
I guess we can keep going.
One other note about languages, what Herman had reported about the languages he speaks is actually the most common in the world, that people speak multiple languages. We are the outliers, people who speak only one language. Well, I've also got a couple other languages, but most people in the United States only one language. We're the outliers, and it gives great hope to the world that we have people with multiple linguistic capabilities. That gives a lot of hope.
David, maybe you can answer a quick question I have around colonization and why, when the colonizers left some of these countries, they decided to divvy them up by making all of these separate borders. What was it, for control, organizational control? Is that why they did it?
Political control, but it was about political, problems in Europe. So the Berlin Conference of 1881 was where the borders were decided by the Europeans. How can you decide for people in Africa? I mean, really. But it was also largely about profits, ultimately.
Right. I'm sure it was.
And again, the colonial project has been very clear and very effective. It's about extraction.
Right.
About extraction.
So the borders then were placed there so that each country, each colonial country, could control the resources in those countries.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually, it goes even beyond the countries controlling to companies controlling.
Yeah. Exactly.
So.
Very interesting. Very interesting, the history. I think we need to know some of the history so that we can unwind it somehow.
Yeah, and especially Congo's history has been so invisible to most people. I put in the chat Mark Twain's King Leopold's soliloquy. It's more than 100 years ago, and it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the violence, it hasn't changed. We're not cutting people's hands off, but people are being killed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, John, do we want to hear maybe what each group has kind of?
Yeah, I was just saying, welcome back. That hopefully the two groups are rich. Ours certainly was, with much of what David Albert was able to share. And so I think definitely let's open it up, and we want to leave some time at the end just for quick checkouts. But
do you want to
start off with group one? What are the things that stood out for you in terms of further discussion with Herman?
Well, I'll just start it, and then please, everyone chime in. I think where we started to go and ended up going was talking about solutions. You know, what needs to be done after we heard more fully from Herman some of the issues and our response to those issues, and certainly working locally, trying to do dialogues locally with all of these factions on the ground. And then we asked about language. Was language a factor? And language really isn't so much of a factor. So that's kind of where we went. And we talked a bit with David further about the reasons for colonization and the strict borders that were put in place. And David helped us understand that it came out of an 1880, summit that the European countries had, and largely because they wanted to exploit the resources in those countries. So they needed to know who was in charge of which little section of the world. And that certainly didn't take the native population into consideration. So we've got to understand maybe some of the history so that we can unwind it. That's kind of where our conversation went.
Hello, is it Peter? Are you talking?
No, I don't know. Maybe let's make sure we're all on mute if we're not talking.
Yeah.
So if anybody else wants to jump in, from group one, please feel free. Otherwise,
Yeah,
John,
go ahead.
maybe you
Group
wanna-
one. Nancy Armstrong.
All right. In our group, if I can review what we discussed, in our group, the data was very democratic, very free-flowing information. Forces like David Breck, very informed, even knows where the borders of Africa was drawn in Europe, while we were here on the ground, wherever, our forefathers. And Congo, honestly, has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. And people like Herman, who speak from the ground. And for forces like David Albert, who has been there, me haven't been to Congo, because we fear Congo. All of us in East Africa, we fear Congo. You know, if you go there, you cannot come out in one piece. And them, they have been there. They have tried to survive. Actually, Congo has no infrastructure. Even when you want to go to Congo, where are the roads? You have to hire private ex-Russian, ex-Ukrainian, ex-Bulgarian helicopter to take you there. And Congo has a bad history of air accidents. So people fear going to Congo. But as Herman has put it as part of the solution, we need to start the dialogue. And the dialogue could start between the community, the 400 plus tribes that are there. You know, in Africa, we have a lot of tribalism. Even in my own country, where we have 40, DRC, they have 10 times what we have here. And it still is a problem. So what they need is a dialogue, a radio, media, because people need to be, in Kenya, like in Kenya, for example, if we can use Kenya as a template for Congo, how they can overcome tribalism and bring people together. They can start community radio stations. Some of them are digital. They don't need a lot of capital or startup capital to run. And just the same way, after the Cold War, the West started what we call the free radio, free Europe, free, what do you call free? I think you know what I'm talking about, the Radio Free Europe. The Radio Free Europe united the people who were running away from the Soviet and bringing information to people, because when people do not have information, honestly, they can fight. Right. And information is power. Currently, even the people inside Congo, in East Africa, in entire Africa and in the entire world do not have information from Congo.
Yes.
As Rinda has put it clearly, the media needs to come and report things instead of this rubbish they are flooding the airwaves with. Because current media in my own country, in the US, everywhere, is full of things that do not matter to people. We need to find a way of maybe supporting community radio stations, providing direct support to those who really need help, especially the humanitarian aid and the development assistance. And as you put it very clearly, some of these companies that are benefiting from Congo, especially the major technology companies, they need to be part of the solution. They need to put back some of the profits they are getting from Congo to help the people on the ground, especially to build infrastructure. And besides that, we also need effective, accountable leadership that has integrity. And Africa, we don't have leadership. Just the new president of Congo is another corrupt person who has edged out some of the other people who are supposed to be part of governance. Right. Because like now what I understand in my own analysis, Tshisekedi has planted his own people, edged out a whole regime that was there under Kabila, and the Kabila people are no longer in power. A huge government, he has left an entire government, outside government structures. That is going to be continuing to be a security threat to the leadership of Congo. So we need a leadership that is bringing people together. Because as much as even if we pump a lot of aid, we pump a lot of development to Congo, it can be bombed the next person who takes over. So we also need, we as the citizens on the ground, we need to account our leadership. Without leadership, we can never solve anything we are trying to solve in Africa. Even in my own country.
Thank you, Armstrong. Absolutely. That, you know, the function of leadership is so critical in this space. I just want to make sure that other voices are heard in terms of how this has landed with them. And so from group two, and we'll get into checkouts in a minute, but from group two, I think we were struck with the detail and the evidence and the data that David Albert was able to provide to us in terms of just how this, how impactful this is, and the whole supply chain, which was one of the questions I asked, of the coltron, which is being produced solely in Congo, and yet none of it is being sold from Congo. It's been stolen by Rwanda and then shipped through China. China manufactures the products with the coltron, which for Microsoft, but it's all manufactured and produced in China and then sold in the US. Interesting in that chain of, and who's culpable in that. Open it up to other observations from group two.
And I just want to mention, because we are running out of time, we'll probably go over about a half hour, if that's okay. If you need to drop off, we understand, of course, but I think we'll probably end up going after 9 o'clock some degree, so.
Well, we were going to 9:30, actually. So we've got the normal time frame.
Okay. Right.
So we're good.
Good.
Yeah. So other thoughts, Robert or Rahul, what stood out for you?
Thank you. I had a very passionate discussion from Armstrong, and as we were listening to David Albert, I learned a lot about Congo. Honestly, truth to be told, as Armstrong pointed out, in Africa, we are so much divided by tribes. The multiple number of tribes you are, the more divided you are. Even in Uganda here, the easiest way someone can rule people is through tribal lines. And they have already succeeded because our civilization has been a bit low. Many people are illiterate. So I feel the responsibility of us ensuring that Congo gets over this war is what we've all pointed out and we all agree to, is that we have to push out this information to the world. Many people are not informed about this, surely. They are not. And the other thing is empowering the Congolese. If Herman is in Congo, is putting up a peace building maybe project, a dialogue-based peace approach, it would be better rather than having international dialogues when people down in Congo are not believing in the international dialogues. However much Kenyatta may visit Congo several times, your President Museveni visits Congo, it is about the responsibility of Congolese to ensure that they come together as one blood, one unity, and end the wars. So I think we as members on board here, we should ensure that we support the Congolese in whatever possible with this knowledge, maybe in recycling, or how best they can preserve their climate, or how best they can dialogue and bring peace in their communities, so that change starts from within. You can't dictate peace from out when you are not within Congo. That's my perception of it. Thank you.
I agree with you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Armstrong. Other comments? And Linda, I just noticing time as well. We could move to checkouts and ask people to spend 60 seconds or so in what are you taking away from this presentation and from this dialogue that you've had? What have you learned? What are the things that are moving in you? How would you like to respond to that? So opening this up, and I'm gonna ask Herman to start this off. Herman, we so appreciate what you've brought to us. What have you heard in response that has given you an evidence that we're getting and we're understanding and we're listening deeply? Herman, we've got you 2 times on the screen here, but all right, well, Herman is looking at that. Let me move to Raul. How about you starting it off with your checkout?
Yeah, I'm John.
Oh, here's Herman.
Herman's on?
I think so. Herman, go ahead.
I didn't catch there was a question.
The question is, we're moving into a last checkout. And so the question is, what are you going to be taking away from really this experience in dialogue and from your presentation? Maybe just last reflections you'd like the group to hear from you.
Well, thank you so much. I have learned so much from these presentations since they started, especially from our brothers from Kenya, from Uganda, and the presentation of Raul from India was also very helpful for us. And it is very important to keep going these presentations. We are learning so much from this presentation. We are changing our minds. We are living, as Father John has been saying, our own perceptions of things. We are suspending our judgments and trying to understand the meaning of what is going on. I think it is giving us so many ideas as people are sharing, as people are asking questions. It is a really brainstorming dialogue. And we have to keep doing this. Very helpful and very meaningful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Herman.
Thank you, Herman. Who's
Are we
next?
gonna-
Ron Story? Okay, go ahead.
Are we going to be able to get the print copy of Herman's presentation? And I say that because in my circle of friends and family, the awareness of any of this is very, very thin. This just isn't a subject that comes up. And so awareness being the foundation for any kind of a solution, I'd like to be able to share some of this much broader.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll try to get that.
If you could send to Linda and I the transcript, the Word document, I guess it is, that you had.
Thank you.
All right, other observations. David Willis.
Deep appreciation for all of you doing the work on the ground. I feel like a kind of helpless bystander, spectator, but we can give support too, like Ron was saying just now, awareness, spreading awareness, the consciousness raising. And I'm so happy that folks from Africa and India are talking with each other. It's just so important to have this happening too. And also recognizing and hoping for more participation from younger folks. I was thinking Robert is so eloquent in his presentation. Herman's so eloquent. I mean, Armstrong, you all are just amazing in what you present. And I sure hope that you have some younger people around you whom you are supporting and fostering. I can imagine you do. Please bring them to these dialogues. It's just really going to be amazing. And also to recognize gender. We need to have more voices like Getry's and of course Sohaz and others, as well. To have a range, just a range of people, because we're all community ultimately, aren't we? So yeah, just it's Southeast Asia. Yeah, Rohul just sent me a message. There are a lot of folks in Southeast Asia. Indonesia, I've been thinking about a lot, what's going on there. And Latin America too. So many places. So anyway, my enough of my ramblings. Should I pass on to someone else?
Yes, would you? And I would just comment that there are many young people in Global North who would like to interact with you. And that's one of our objectives as well. How do we energize the youth that we know in the US, for that matter, to understand what's going on and to be part of this conversation? You want to pass it on, David?
Yeah, so very important. Rahul.
Yeah, thank you, David. So from this presentation, I can take a few, like, more insights on those who are getting enslaved, how the climate actions have been happening in the DRC, and as well as the war-like situation, what like how community is responding over this both the issues. That was my key takeaway, and I'm surprised that Herman speaking something in Hindi. So I don't know how he knows those words. So yeah, thank you so much, Herman. Pass on the Adam. Yeah.
So we have guys here. I will bring one who can speak Hindi more than you. You know, we had Indian army in this country, 4 battalion of India, 20 years ago. They have even children. Thank you so much, Rahul.
Thank you.
Adam, you're on.
Adam.
Thank you, Rahul, for your comments. And thank you again, David and Linda and the rest of the team for bringing together these voices that apparently are so distant geographically and culturally, but I believe, you know, with the gender angle and the youth angle, you know, having these conversations amongst one another, even though our languages are different, but the concepts that we're talking about, I think it's distressing to see similar issues plaguing all of our post-colonial countries, but it's also in a way hopeful. It gives one hope that, you know, where there are so many young, energetic voices kind of trying to talk about, let's say, Herman suggested local change or community-led change, and how to amplify those voices, such as Armstrong suggested, using community outreach or radio programs. I think there's a lot of potential in these kinds of get-togethers where, you know, where a lot of apparently different voices come together, but at the end we realize that we're really just talking about the same thing. For me, it was a very enriching experience. Thank you, Rahul, especially for inviting us to be part of this group. Thank you.
We're glad to have you, Adam. Please keep coming back. Do you want to pass it on to someone else on the screen?
I will pass it on to, I think I've heard almost everyone speak. Howard, I haven't heard. Maybe he was in the other group. So if you would like to take it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I'm overwhelmed. I just really appreciate everything I'm hearing. I just look forward to learning more, and so I can share this information with the people in my area. I can, wonderful presentation. I'm looking forward to getting a copy of it too, so I can share that with other people. And just, I really appreciate all of you here. So how about Nancy?
My heart is full with all of you. And I'm also feeling, thanks to Herman's response and a number of other comments, that under the leadership of this group, the Global South leadership, the equatorial leadership in particular, as you are coming together, and how we can support that continuing, first of all. And then I'm also hearing that I'm really struck by the need for media. And at the very least, insisting that the companies benefiting so profitably from all of this support the development of media infrastructure and at least roads where that isn't going to further damage forests, etc. But in particular, in terms of what we're able to do, the need for really strong communication locally. I was very moved by the emphasis on this is first of all our problem. That is the problem of the people directly affected in Congo. And how can we improve dialogue, peaceful dialogue within Congo? And how might we support the economic needs of people on the ground in Congo so that they can dialogue in peace with the sense of actual prosperity and healing? And it feels like that kind of communication is something that and now I'm looking for what we in the West can do to support under your leadership, how we can further support and help with that. And I'm actually feeling quite inspired. I'm so, as one of you said, even in Africa, other African nations, people are afraid to go into Congo. It's too dangerous, and suddenly I'm not feeling the fear. I'm feeling a kind of a path forward that we could really be, that grows out of dialogue and out of us coming to be brothers and sisters with each other. So I'm feeling a great deal of gratitude for the inspiration that has come through today. And Soha, I would really looking forward to hearing from you next month and would love to hear your comments right now.
Yes, thank you so much, Nancy. And as Adam said, this is, of course, our first session, our first dialogue that we were part of. And in itself, it has been so much of knowledge and so much of information that we've come across and we were completely unfamiliar with. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Herman, for imparting all of that knowledge to us, because again, we've been talking about awareness and dissemination, and I'm going to put myself in the same bracket of people who are completely unaware of all of this happening around. And to borrow Nancy's word, that inspiration, that in spite of all of that, the kind of work that Herman himself is doing, the kind of loss that he has faced in the war, and yet he continues to work towards some form of improvement. I think that's a height of inspiration that one can only aspire towards. And I would not have known about this kind of work that was happening had I not heard this presentation. So yeah, I mean, we hear about these different things in very isolated ways, and then a dialogue like this brings it all together for, as Robert was telling from Uganda, and these other stories that we hear from different parts of Africa and then South Asia. So I think that really puts into perspective of what the problems are similar, but the intensities of it are perhaps very different in different places, and how we can begin to understand them by these conversations. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Nancy, for your kind words.
You can pick the next person, Soha.
Oh yes, sorry. I think Anna's not speaking so far, so
I very much enjoyed hearing African voices. It's been very informative. And yeah, my heart's very full. It's very tragic, so much of it. What I'm left with is, what can we in the North do? And I think it's even more reason to try and hold corporations and our governments accountable. Corporations and governments are so intertwined and so unconscious, it seems to me. So I don't know who's left. Who can I pass it to?
You can pass it to me.
Linda? Yes.
Yeah. Well, I want to build on what you said. I want to build on what everyone said. My heart's full. I'm so appreciative that the effort is to engage in local dialogue, that as a first priority. But I also want to bring out as much as we can the injustices that our large corporations are still doing in Africa and around the world. I want to somehow bring them out. We need to get the media to report on them so people understand that what you buy from these large corporations is doing so much damage. So it's both a consumer issue of awareness, but it's also to bring to account these large corporations so they cannot any longer hide under this, what is it, deniability. It's just ridiculous. That's why nothing gets done, because we don't bring corporations to account in the planetary world. So I know anything we can do in the North to do that. And I think it's all about media. It's getting this message really communicated out to large media outlets all over the world. So I just really appreciate everyone here. And the fact that, many years ago, we couldn't even talk about climate change. Now we can all talk about climate change, but we still don't talk about neoliberalism and the economic system that's causing so much damage. We need to talk about it so that we can move away from it and move to something that's more sustainable. So that's my little soapbox. Let's see.
So Linda, we haven't heard from Peter, or Kelvin has joined us, and David as well. David.
I think David wanted to go next.
Oh, whoops. My phone is going. I gotta stop it. Okay. So first of all, I am so pleased you all got to meet Herman. Herman is one of my heroes. He has been for such a long time. I've told him so. I'll tell him so again. Herman is one of the most remarkable people on the planet in my book. And I hope you all will get to know him better. You don't have to only wait for a monthly meeting. Herman will communicate with you at any time, and the work he is doing is so extraordinary. So thank you, Herman. Secondly, I'm sorry that his colleague Faustine was not on the call, because Faustine is a journalist working on local journalism in the Congo. And he could have told you about the struggles of journalism and trying to get a message out, but perhaps we'll hear from Faustine another time. Thirdly, I was especially pleased to see Adam here, because Adam is a specialist on the intersection of power, knowledge, and language, which is really, when you get under it, that was most of what our conversation was about. How do we talk about these things, and who has the knowledge? How is that knowledge shared? Why is certain knowledge shared and other knowledge is not shared? We talk about big media. Well, there are people that own big media. What messages do they want to get out, and what messages don't they want to get out? Adam, in future talks, I'm hoping we'll hear more from you on those sorts of issues. I know, obviously Foucault is highly theoretical, but it has practical applications, even as we consider these very real human issues before us today. I'm so pleased we have this. Again, my main purpose in convening, I'm not the coordinator, I was just the convener of Equatorial Voices, is just to have equatorial voices speaking to each other. And I'm privileged to be able to listen to equatorial voices as we all begin to recognize our commonalities, our common dreams, our common hopes, and our common challenges. Thank you all so much. And I'll pass it on to Kelvin, who I know has been struggling in Narok, Kenya with immediate and very difficult climate change issues. So Kelvin, I'm on to you.
Are you
there? Kelvin, can you hear us?
You are on mute, Kelvin, if you're trying to speak.
Kelvin, you're muted.
We can go on to Peter and then maybe come back to Kelvin.
Yeah, but Peter, if you would, we can't see you, but yeah, here, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know whether you can.
Peter, what are your final thoughts on this time together?
Okay, sorry, I wasn't when you started the meeting. I had some difficulties in my end. Yeah, the internet wasn't working well, so I've just got part of your conversation. But I just want to say that the problem in Congo, I'm very sure is not political, but things to do with resources. So I believe that if one day people will sit down and see how to share the resources, then this problem will be solved. I strongly believe that, poor people only understand things to do with resources. And many African countries with huge resources like Congo tend to have such problems. Even there's a time there was such problem in Nigeria and Sudan the same. So I believe that it is to do with resources, and that's where the problem is. And I think that can be solved by themselves and not even other outsiders. Otherwise, thank you very much for the the talk of today. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
We got Kelvin. I also realize Armstrong, we didn't give you a chance to check out. You were very eloquent in terms of your report on what had come out of the group. But if you can give us a very brief checkout, what has this resonated with you?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Loven. The dialogue, this dialogue and this opportunity and this platform that you have offered all of us on equal footing is the best I've ever participated. Hearing from all the presentations that have happened before, and the most recent one, the current one that we have just had from Herman. Herman presented in a very clear way that is understandable, detailed, and has already been requested that it can be shared to all of us. We'll get more details. It will be very good for us to share it across the world, and I'm even suggesting that once you receive it with the authority from Herman, you can put it on the Equatorial Dialogue website. Then from there, it is shared as a link so that it goes viral around the world. And also, Herman, I would like to request you that you also provide more data like photos and videos, because that's what can emotionalize people to see what's happening on the ground, so that when it is shared, people can see and make judgments. Going forward, I would like us to focus maybe from January, after all of us have done presentations, I haven't done mine, we focus on action. How can we make things happen? How can we turn rhetoric to action? How can we network? How can we mobilize resources? How can we work together as a team? Because this is the only chance that we have to come with all these very wonderful people. If you look at your faces, you look like people who are highly knowledgeable. You see that? People are out of knowledge, connections, wisdom. You see that? Resources, research, and we can come up with a very good way of working. And we can also we'll not compete with anybody, either government. We can work with governments. They are very corrupt, all of them, but we will find a way of working with them, because if we need to bring solutions, they have put a system in a way that you cannot even go in and help Congolese people if you don't have an immigration authority, or you help people in Kenya or in Africa or anywhere. So let us start working and supporting each one who has done a presentation, from Masai Mara to Congo to everywhere. Herman needs help, to be honest. Personally, I'll be traveling to the United States to visit my children. in March. And during that time, I will want to go with a message from Kenya and Uganda and from DRC on how I can, because I will be scheduling meetings with the medias and some people that I know here and there to project on how maybe you can look for resources, especially funding, because in Africa, one of the major problems we have is funding. As much as we are talking, funding is key. And also, David, a break, you have requested that we bring in the youth. I work with many young people and I mentor them. I maybe with the guidance from Linda and John Luvin and David Albert, I will wish to know how many I can bring in, and they can be regular participants, because these are people work in my office. Some of them we work in the field with. Some of them I'll be traveling with them into the States to promote climate agenda. So I have young people, university educated, some of them working, some of them out of school. They will be very happy to participate in this kind of dialogue, because I did not want to bring people without a request. And now that there's by public demand, we can bring young people so that we mentor them and become useful. Also in Congo, maybe Albert and David Albert, Aman, they want the Beretrin. We need to work away of supplying them the Beretrin as the first step. And what will be needed is a few resources. We pay the Beretrin board and supply them. Also very important, Robert and Aman, we are in the same region. We are in the same time zone. We need to find a way of having our local dialogue so that we can be able to see how we can start providing that local solutions. We don't want to say like, oh, we need the world to help us. How are we helping ourselves? Because we have a lot of resources also locally that we can utilize. I don't want to take more time. I love all of you. You are the best.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of each one of you.
Thank you, Armstrong. John, I don't think you've had your chance to check out. Why don't
No,
you?
check out, and thank you, Armstrong, for all that you put into that. And I think that the notion of media, how do we use media more effectively in terms of, I mean, so just from my checkout, I'm filled. I am filled up. I think somebody else also said that. And just reiterating, David Albert, Herman is now our hero as well. Absolutely knowing his own story, and knowing what he's doing in spite of that, and his this marvelous presentation today. So we're so grateful for that. I would also just say, David Albert, I just want to recognize the power of your connections and the depth of your own knowledge and intimacy with these conditions. So you bring great insight, and thank you for your part of our group too. I am, as I said, filled up. I think one of the things that resonated with me greatly was Armstrong saying we need the youth to get into this as well. The youth in and Herman, I mean Armstrong, are you in Kenya, or where are you?
Kenya.
I'm currently in Kenya.
You're in Kenya, okay. So Kenyan youth and American youth, and maybe some European youth as well. But I mean, I think our hope going forward is in the young voices, the young minds, the young passions. And I think that would be amazing how we can bring those together. So we need to.
I can bring the youth from Europe, Asia, US, Kenya, Africa, because I've been into projects and the networks are as deep as the length of my arm. Also the media, the global media. Yeah. People have done investigative journalism who can write the stories as it is with facts. I can bring them on board
right.
The network.
So we have more discussion to have, and we'll figure out how to generate that. And so I think we've got a number of different things to consider. Linda, you have a last question.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that people mark your calendars. We are going to have a expert on climate change. His name is Richard Heinberg. He's written some 14 books on climate change. He's a specialist in that, and he's going to give us an update on January 6th at 8 o'clock Pacific time. So please mark your calendars. It'll be a 2-hour presentation with some time for questions and a little bit of time for dialogue. So I hope many of you could come. It's what Robert and Raul asked for, that we give kind of just an overall look at climate change from an expert. So we know that's coming up on the 6th, and we'll be announcing our next presentation and practice dialogue in the next few days. So
we'll get a reminder out to you about and it's 8 a.m. Everything's going to be 8 a.m. for the benefit of time zones around the world. So we're just a bit over time. We're looking forward to the next presentation in January with Soha. And so greatly looking forward to that. And who will you be doing that with, Soha? Who is your partner?
Yeah, so Adam and I are going to do it together, yes.
It's Adam. Okay, great. So great to have you on. Thank you all for the richness of this experience together. That's what we always get, is an experience, and this has been an amazing time. So grateful to all of you. We look forward to seeing you at the next session. We'll be in touch and let you all know what additional links to that. Thanks all. This has been so special. So special.
Thank you. Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next month.